Well, hello and good morning from Moorabbin Airport, more specifically from the hangar where I keep Echo Yankee Zulu here at heavy doors here at Moorabbin Airport. If, like me, you enjoy watching aviation content on the internet, I want to have a little talk about what's happened recently and, more importantly, where I think it's actually going to go, because hopefully in this video I want to help empower you so your viewing experience through 2024 and beyond with aviation on the internet is a lot more enjoyable. So I thought I'd bring you down to the hangar to Echo Yankee Zulu, and I thought we could have a little one-to-one chat. When I've been browsing aviation content on YouTube recently, I've noticed this kind of what a lot of the YouTube experts, they call this Mr. Beastification of content, which I think it's a little bit unfair to kind of place it all on Mr. Beast. And what he does very well, and there's a place and an audience for that. But there's certainly this kind of desire, I think, on YouTube now to chase the views and create these sort of one-off content pieces that are very sensational and very big, rather than sharing the reality and honesty and life experiences of someone just enjoying their life, doing whatever they do. For me, it's aviation. But that kind of real connection that I think we used to be able to get with a creator on YouTube, and nowadays a little bit less so, because it's all about that click. I've noticed a few of the creators, not going to name names, maybe going down that path a little bit, kind of like the air crash investigation type content, the oh my god, I can't believe I just did this to my airplane. There's a little bit more of that coming through on YouTube nowadays, and I don't like it very much. I've been asked in the past, hey, what are your opinions on, an incident that might have happened if, say, a Cirrus aircraft like Echo Yankee Zulu has crashed? People have asked me, well, are you going to make a video about what you think about that crash and what you think might have happened? Yes, it would get huge views. I know it would. Pilot reacts to Cirrus crash. Of course, that's going to get lots of clicks and views, but I just wanted to kind of put it out there that even if more of that content appears elsewhere on YouTube, it's not going to appear on my channel on YouTube because, well, I'm not an air crash investigator. I'm not an expert in that field. And honestly, I don't want to be involved in those sorts of conversations in that environment, in the environment of the internet. So I've been experimenting this last year with some new forms of content, shorter form, sort of 60-second, the vertical type content. What I do in this aircraft in the event of a go-around, for example. I can show you what happens, like various air traffic control calls when I've got really low visibility approaches that I'm making. I think it's been interesting to those of you who might not be in the world of aviation, but you're just interested to know what happens inside the cockpit. And I think it's interesting maybe to those of you that do fly, because like me as a pilot, I think us pilots like to see what other pilots do. Helps to validate our own decisions, but it also helps us learn from each other, which is a huge part of why I have this channel in the first place. So I've enjoyed making the content. Trouble is, putting that content out on places like YouTube is fine, Instagram, it's kind of grey area, TikTok's awful. So I've put stuff out on TikTok in the past, and I think the problem is the audience that's there is very different to the audience that I have on YouTube, in that I don't think it's kind of the accepting community like we have on YouTube, and they think they know better than everyone else, and they think that depending on the brand of the aircraft that you fly, it either makes you a legend or an idiot. In this case, it makes me an idiot. Because of the brand of the aircraft I fly, I actually cannot fly. I don't have the ability to. I shouldn't have done a go-around. I should be doing S-turns on short final with parallel runways, etc. It's difficult to put yourself in front of an audience like that. It feels like the percentage of people who know better or want to try and push you down as you grow, that is growing. And it might just be the volume of people who are seeing the content I'm making. It might just be the change in the world that we're going through at the moment. Either way, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because that audience, I think, does resonate well with that kind of Mr. Beastification, air crash investigation, sensational thumbnail type content on YouTube. The thing for me with aviation, right, is it's not about the spikes that oh my God, this happened and I can't believe it. I actually love aviation when it's boring, and it's exactly the same thing that happens over and over again. You see, I want my flight from Melbourne to Sydney to be exactly like every other flight that I've done from Melbourne to Sydney and every other flight that any other pilot does from Melbourne to Sydney. That for me is a success, and I want to be able to share that with you. But obviously, as attention gets more scarce online and more people are doing the same sort of thing, it gets harder to get noticed. Now, I don't want to make this sound like a big sort of moan about social media. It's absolutely not. In fact, the point of this video is that social media is, like, it has its downsides, of course, but it's about how you use it. And I think moving forward into 2024, this is what I want to empower you with a little bit, is a little bit of my learnings as a creator, but also to tell you what I'm doing in 2024 to maybe help you improve your social media experience as well. So the good thing about social media now is some of those algorithms that bubble up the content to you are so much more about the content itself rather than the person who's making that content. So you might see a video from me and not have any idea who I am, but enjoy watching that content because it's based around the sort of content you've watched before. And that's happened to me as well. It means that YouTube has suggested content to me this year from people I would otherwise never have known about, but the type of content they're making is similar to what I've watched in the past. And because I'm not watching those amateur air crash investigation or I did this to my airplane type videos, it's not suggesting those to me. It's just suggesting the here I am going for a nice flight and enjoying what aviation can do for me type videos. And I wanted to share some of them with you because I'm fortunate to have had a channel which has grown nicely over the years and hopefully will continue to in the future. But there are other creators out there who are putting in just as much work and producing videos that are just as good, if not better, than a lot of us who have a decent amount of views and subscribers on YouTube, and they just don't get noticed. So as my sort of starting the new year, I'd like to give back a little bit to the aviation community, and I prepared a list on my phone of some of the creators that I think you should subscribe to or at least have a look at and see whether you like, and maybe just change your YouTube feed from that more sensational content to just a bunch of aviators like me, maybe like you, who are just out there doing cool things. Start off with a channel called Let's Go Flying. Now, this is a pilot based in the UK. He flies an aircraft which, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know about before watching his channel. It's called a Sky Ranger Ninja. He makes really enjoyable content just about some of the airfields and the places that you can visit flying around the UK. Gives you some great ideas about places to go if you are flying around that neck of the woods, or if you just want to see what it's like flying in the UK. So Let's Go Flying is the first one. The second one, and I must apologise before I say this, to the creator, I'm going to murder your name and I'm so sorry, but I think it's Peter L. Papich or Papix. He flies a couple of aircraft. There's a Sonica 200, a Diamond DA40, and this is in Europe, so outside of the UK. Places like France and Germany, he's been flying around. Again, for destination-based content, the flying content itself with all the air traffic control calls is really interesting, and some of them are also in foreign languages, so you can hear French-speaking ATC, German-speaking ATC. Just hear about how it's done elsewhere in the world and remind yourself that a lot of the time, it's actually, even though it might be a different language, the principle is basically exactly the same. What we are trying to do around the world is the same as each other. So that's a good channel to have a look at if you want to see what it's like in Europe. Back to the UK, there's a channel called Short Field. Now, they fly a Piper Sport aircraft out of a place called North Weald, which is kind of in the southeast of England, just near Essex. Very simple, I don't want to use simple as a negative, but just nicely simple aviation videos, flying in and out of smaller strips as well. Once again, just like some short field takeoff and landing stuff, places you might not otherwise either be able to go in the aircraft you fly or have thought about going to before as well. You get some good ideas from that channel too. There's another few channels as well, which I wouldn't necessarily say are small channels, but they're the ones that I've been watching recently. Now, Mika Lang, who I've spoken about on this channel before, never actually had the opportunity to meet. So Mika, if you're ever coming to Australia, please let me know, or next time in Europe, I'd love to meet up and we should do something together. But he's a Diamond ferry pilot. He flies aircraft, normally things like the DA42, DA62 he's got on his channel as well, which is a great twin engine aircraft, from Europe across to the US. He does a lot of ferry delivery flights across the North Atlantic, but it's not just those routes, he also goes south. I think he's got some clients in the Middle East as well. He flies aircraft down there too. Just again, really simple, not in a bad way, but beautifully simple aviation videos, lots of air traffic control calls, lots of great views out the window. And Mika seems like a really cool guy as well. Someone I think I really would resonate well with, and I enjoy watching him. So check out Mika too. Richard Tyra is a UK-based private pilot. Now, he started a round-the-world solo circumnavigation attempt recently. Quite procedural in some ways as well. So if you, a bit like with Mika, if you're interested in, like how approaches are flown at certain different airports, Richard includes a lot of that content in there as well. And I would say, I will maintain, I think Richard's got one of the best YouTube voices for a pilot out there. If he's not a British Airways captain, he should be. Not just to fly the plane, just to make the announcements. His voice is fantastic, so check out Richard too. And finally for now, the pilot Bambi. There's a series on her channel which I loved this year, which was flying a Sling aircraft from the Netherlands down to South Africa, halfway across the world, through some really interesting countries. There were a lot of challenges that they faced. It's a really interesting series, and she makes some great content too. A little bit more about the destinations too, which I really like, so what you can enjoy when you're out there on the ground, as well as the flying aspect too. So check out Pilot Bambi. And I did notice when I was making this list that it's not a particularly diverse list. There's one female pilot on there, and the rest of it is kind of blokes my age doing what I do on YouTube. So I would love it if you have other suggestions. If you're a pilot with your own channel and you want to promote yourself, put it in the comments down below, please. Tell everybody else about what you do. Let's use this video to help promote the community as a whole, because there's a phrase that I love, which I say quite a lot to people, which is a rising tide lifts all ships. It's not about being the #1 Cirrus YouTuber in Australia. It's not about being the #1 bush pilot in America. Whatever you do, it's about being part of a community that hopefully you value as much as I do. So sell yourself in the comments below. Tell me about other pilots who might not be middle-aged blokes flying aircraft that you might think we like to watch as well, because let's grow this community as diversely and as communally as we can. Filming at an airport. Let's use 2024 as an opportunity to be really positive and kind to each other. I think we just need to remember sometimes that everybody's learning at different rates. Nobody's getting it perfect all the time. Very few of us get it perfect any of the time, let's be honest. And we're all gonna benefit if we learn from each other and with each other. So I wish you all the best for a very positive and peaceful 2024. The bottom line for me is just gonna be to try and exude more kindness to people, give more through this channel and through what I do in my everyday life, and just realize what a privilege it is to have this industry behind me and to be a part of it, because I love it so much. And I really hope that everything that's shared online in 2024 is a lot more peaceful, a lot more positive, and really benefits you as the viewer moving forward. So thank you. That's my end of year review now. I'm gonna lock the hangar and make sure everything's in place, and well, still got some leftover vegan roast, of course, but got some leftover roast to have back home. So how good, by the way, are leftover roast potatoes and gravy? Potatoes and a bit of gravy, warm it up a little bit. That's like, Christmas just keeps on giving some years, doesn't it?